Well, excuse the ripped T-shirt because I'm going out to do some work on my cars and stuff. I like doing that stuff anyway. I don't know why. Sometimes I wonder why I even got into accounting finance. I always used to like doing car stuff, and I work with people. I don't know. I didn't want to get into that, but I want to tell you something that statistically, I know they always talked about peak oil that's going to occur, and they talked about peak oil was going to be here about the year 2000. Man, I remember going back to all these statistics. I can tell you right now. Okay, I'm 58. And, even when I was 16, I used to watch all the news and read stuff. I'm a very studied person, even though I talk very plain on purpose, But I can tell you a lot of stuff that I read way back and how wrong these predictions were about peak oil and oil running out and all this type of stuff. But there's always a cost. That's the problem. And it looks like North America within the next I'm getting up to something here because I'm telling you, this is a little bit more about prepping than you might want to think. And I think this way. That's one reason I keep my Harley Davidson I've had since it's in '89. I got it January 1st, 1990. It gets it gets around 50 miles to the gallon average because I think what's going to come up is there's going to be a major spike in fuel prices, not just because of what's going on in Iran. It could be because of a number of things. I don't want to get into all this doom and gloom garbage, but even statistically, when you're looking at, peak oil, I know there have been a lot of wrong predictions about this stuff, and there may be a lot more oil on the earth than they're saying, and I've heard that they know exactly where all the oil is from satellites. They know where all the diamonds are. They know where all this stuff is. Trouble is, you got to get it out of the ground, man. It's just like anything. You got to roll up your sleeves, get it out of the ground. And getting oil out of the ground is not something that a few people can get together and do. It's major capital expenditures, a lot of expertise, and all that type of stuff. But what I'm saying is, if you look back even at OPEC statistics about what they said for proven reserves, they've changed every year. It seems like they never go down. They never go down. And all of a sudden, I think it was like, I forgot how many years ago it was. Maybe it was back in the 80s. Their proven reserves jumped up a big amount because the deal is with OPEC, and you see this has to do with the price of oil. Even if North America becomes energy independent completely within a couple of years, if OPEC starts running out of oil and they get diminished supplies for real, or the oil's getting more difficult to extract, the price is going to go up. Even if North America is energy independent, the price will go up. That's why I think during the Iranian war, oil might go way over $200 a barrel as a spike, but when it comes back down, I think it's going to be over $150. In other words, $5 gas at the pump, maybe it'll go way over $5 at the pump, but it's going to be $5 a gallon gas at the pump, like normal. People used to think, I remember back when people used to think 50 cents was nuts. It was like a quarter, 30 cents, 50 cents, $1. Holy, that was nuts. I remember I was around when they had the OPEC embargo before they did the strategic oil reserves. But the thing is, it's not that we're going to run out. It's going to be the price. So I'm going to say this to the average person out there, especially some of these more skilled mechanical type people. There's a lot of high-tech junk out there. I don't like the high-tech cars. They got the Priuses out there, and they got the electric cars and all this type of stuff. And yeah, the one thing I don't like about those damn things, I'm just talking some garbage here, but it's really practical advice. It's not really garbage. But the one thing that's really wrong with these electrical cars is, man, you can get electrocuted working on them. That's one damn thing that's a big danger of them. Even when there's an accident, like the firefighters and emergency personnel, they got to watch because they can get electrocuted or the car can blow up because of the batteries, more so than from the gasoline cars. They're dangerous. They're dangerous to work on. A lot of people think, oh yeah, they're sitting back in their easy chair and they're saying, well, we got the Prius, we got these other kind of cars out there, they're all electric, we got the Chevy Volt and all this type of stuff, the Tesla. No, 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 man. And actually, those things all carry a price. They're not that cheap. They're not that cheap to run. You know what used to really work really super good, and they get pretty much like a Prius gets what, up to 60 miles to the gallon, whatever it is. And that's like one of the, I guess it's about the best thing going for a hybrid. You know what used to really work was the old Honda Civics from the 70s, the Datsuns. And you know, they used to call them Datsun before Nissan. You know, actually like a Suzuki or Mitsubishi or whatever. Those cars in the 70s and the early 80s, before they had the computers, they ran carburetors. They used to actually get 50 miles per gallon on the highway, no problem. And around town, they get about 35, no problem, easy, because they didn't have all the safety equipment with the airbags and supports, and you know, they had all this junk in there. Well, it wasn't just the airbags that added weight, but they had a lot of other stuff in the cars that added weight. Basically, they're kind of like roller skates on wheels. The problem is they rusted out. But my recommendation is, if anybody can find any of these cars around here, they're going to be worth big bucks. If you want to talk about a venture that's actually going to make you some money, if you can find a lot of these Hondas out there. Now, I'm not a, you know, I'm more like pro USA and stuff. And actually, I'll tell you another good car out there that used to be great that they got, basically they got rid of, which was stupid, was the Volkswagen Beetle. Now, I had a Volkswagen Beetle that was a 66 with a 1300cc, rebuilt the engine and stuff like that. Well, actually, it was with a friend of my dad, because I got it. I think that was when I was about 18 or something like that, and I was like over my head, you know, taking this damn thing apart. But you know, I learned how to build it. That, you know, that was a learning curve. But anyway, you know, it's 4 17mm belts that take the engine out. But the thing is, you know, these old rides like this are actually going to be worth big bucks, because what it is they get about as good mileage as the most expensive hybrids out there without all the garbage involved. Now, the other thing that's came out since that time in the 70s is these HHO things. You know, the hydroxy, HHO, the hydrogen, hydroxy, oxygen, whatever you call it, the HHO. Now, they didn't have that in the 70s. Now, HHO doesn't work that good on computerized cars, because the computer is always adjusting the fuel air mixture for, you know, 14.2 or whatever the hell it is, by what it gets on the O2 sensor. And hopefully I'm not losing people on that. They don't really work, HHO doesn't work that great on computerized cars, but it does work really good. It really seems to provide some kind of benefit with plain carbureted cars. And on top of that, it drops the emissions really low. So, you know, anybody wants to get into a you know, a venture that's probably going to take off, where some of these things are going to be worth some money, will be any of these older cars that are from the 70s or early 80s, that were the compact cars, whether they were the Nissans. Now, the Volkswagen Beetle, they think they had the Super Beetle in the 70s. That probably wouldn't be a bad candidate. That doesn't get about 50 miles to the gallon. It gets about 30-something. But Beetles are freaking great. Those cars are actually... I don't know. I remember. Well, I don't want to get into all these stories I know about that, but they go good, man. They go good. Now, those would be good too. Those would be good too, because if you get something like that, you can actually probably add your HHO system to the deal and see what kind of mileage you get. Because HHO does work on the old carbureted cars, and a lot of these old carbureted cars back in the 70s and early 80s. Before the computers came out, when they were really simple, they didn't have all this junk added on to these cars, you know, with the power windows. You know, it was a simple car. It just got you from point A to point B. They really did get about good 50 miles to the gallon, and maybe you could stretch that to 55 or 60 with a really high-quality HHO system. You know, it's not going to run purely on water, but that HHO, or I think it works, is that it helps the efficiency of what gasoline is burning in a combustion chamber. I think that's really where it works. It helps burn up almost, that's why the emissions go down. It helps actually burn up more of the gas. It seems to work very good with the carbureted car. Now, actually, I'm going to be adding one of those to my Suzuki Samurai that I have, which is a 1300cc, putting a Toyota carburetor on it. But I just want to put this out here a bit. You know, any of these people out there that are more mechanically inclined, if you get a hold of any of these old cars, the problem is with these older especially the Japanese cars, they rusted out to oblivion by now. Most of them. Most of them. And if you find any, they got major rust problems. Major rust problems. And that's your big drawback, you know. Otherwise, they'd still be on the road. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I think where we're going with technology, it's just getting more and more complicated, more expensive, more out of the hands of Joe Average or Jane Average or whatever the hell it is. You know, if some female wants to work on cars. There's a couple of them around, not too many. But, you know, the thing is, the technology's getting so far out of hand where, you know, it's almost becoming like a product like you buy like a refrigerator. And, you know, it's got 4 wheels on it and you don't do nothing with it and you're stuck with whatever the factory puts out. And you're at the behest and you're stuck with whatever the manufacturer puts out, which is big business. Big business. So it's like a dying art, you know what I mean? Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I think that the price of gasoline is going to start not just from the Iranian war, but I think it's also pressure from running out of oil. And I think it really is, because OPEC has been lying about how much oil they have, because the more oil reserves they have on paper, that allows them legally by their own laws to produce more oil and pump more oil. I think they're running out. Now, on top of this, you know, you heard about the Bakken oil reserve in the United States with the shale oil, and we got all this oil. Well, you know what? The production on the Bakken oil reserve is dropping like this. It's dropping like a stone. They're sinking more and more wells, and they're getting less and less oil out of it. So I'm going to tell you right now, if you ever want to actually, anybody is a real entrepreneur and a blue-collar worker that can, you know how to fix, wants to get in there fixing cars and stuff like that, and get some, you resurrect some of the old rust buckets from years ago that were economy cars that people threw away because they got out of style. I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to come right back in style, because in a practical way, because they're simple. They're simple. There's low cost involved. I mean, if you had these old cars and they didn't rust out, I mean, you know, it's like if something wears out, they're so simple, there's nothing to it. Today's cars, even if the engine and transmission and all that stuff holds together, it's the computer components and all the actual sensors and stuff on that cost you more than the damn car. You know, I mean, you got mirrors. I mean, if you take like a Mercedes, for instance, like today, you know, a mirror might cost you $500 because it has the blinker in it and the sensors and all this other bullshit. It's side view mirror. You know, whereas it's on an old, you know, simple car from the 70s that just was getting you around as an economy car. It cost you $10 at an aftermarket store. So I'm going to tell you right now, you know what's probably going to happen, because I see this overall trend where there's going to be a lot less people driving a car in the future. It's going to be a slow thing. It's not going to happen right away. But if people roll up their sleeves and they get right back to basics, that trend will go away. People are going to have to do things on their own, because basically Big Brother is looking to actually push everybody outside the private transportation arena, and you're going to be at the behest of, you know, whatever the hell they tell you to do. I'm telling you that right now. That's one of your big freedoms in the United States. You know what I mean? It's not a constitutional right, but a lot of people like the right to be able to just drive, just get in their car, go wherever the hell they want, or the bike or motorcycle or whatever, and drive wherever the hell they want on the weekends just for the hell of it, right? I mean, that's kind of one of your freedoms over here, whether it's written in stone or not. And, you know, I'm going to tell you right now, Big Brother don't want you having that freedom, because it's like you're wasting the Earth's resources. I'm telling you right now, this is the deal. And the only way you're going to be able, and they're going to charge you more and more money for freaking energy. And the way you're going to get around this is to just roll up your sleeves and do stuff on your own. I know I've been doing this, because I have a Cavalier that's compressed natural gas also. You know, I also have the Harley. I have the, you know, the economy Jeep, whatever the hell it is. And even though it's old stuff, well, I got all this stuff new practically. You know, I got sick of buying new cars, because I realize if a computer shorts out a new car, it costs you more than the engine. I said, this is stupid. I said, I ain't playing in this game. It's not a matter of like, could I just throw down some money and buy some stupid Econo box? Yeah, I could. I just don't want to play the game. That's the way I am, man. That's the way I am. So I'm telling you, there's a lot of hope for you guys out there that are blue collar workers, because I'm gonna tell you right now, they're not going to be worth shit right now because, sorry, I cursed, right? But they're not going to be worth nothing right now because gas is $3.30 a gallon, whatever the hell it is, or $4 if you're in California and LA or something. But when I think when we're coming up to this Iranian war, it's going to super spike. It's going to go to $8 a gallon, and it ain't going to come down to 3 something. It's going to come down to like 5. And you're going to see these 70s cars, if anything that you get out there that runs, because I remember what happened even back in 2008 when oil hit 147 a barrel. Those economy cars from the 70s were going for big bucks. Big bucks. Because they actually did get 50 miles to the gallon. Like I said, I'm repeating it again. But just so, I know I said this before, and I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm saying it again, because, it's like people miss things. Because it's important. The HHO, they didn't have this back in the 70s. The HHO, running a car in water. It doesn't really run on water. It's basically electrolysis that splits the water into some hydrogen. Now, I don't think it works so good by just adding fuel. What I think happens is that type of fuel that hits in with the gas mixture enables the gasoline to burn more efficiently and more cleanly. That's why you're getting better mileage and power. It's not even like more, you know what I mean? It's not. It's something to do with the way the gas is actually being catalyzed inside the combustion chamber. I think that's what. But what's cool about it, besides giving you more mileage and more, it works on good on carbureted cars, not computer-rated cars. Carbureted cars that are simple, the old school stuff. The thing is, when you're doing that type of stuff, you not only are you getting more mileage and more power, but it actually lowers the emissions like crazy. Which, I'm going to tell you right now, it's amazing, well, maybe it's not amazing, that the engineers in our country that are part of the automotive industry didn't take this approach. And don't tell me they don't know better. I've been telling you right now, it's just like anything they're out there, just like even in medicine. If they're directed to go in this direction and they're working for the big company and you're not supposed to look here, you're not supposed to look there. They're telling you to do this. It works the same way in the medical profession. It works the same way in the energy profession. There's a lot of alternative routes you could take that might be a lot better. Now, as some backwoods big weekend mechanic, you're probably not going to freaking develop something that is good as somebody with billions of dollars and the best engineering degrees could develop with HHO as a supplement to a car running a car on gasoline. I even know they would do a way better job. The problem is there's no money going into it, and you know why? There's a lot of stuff I could tell you over freaking hours. The games they're playing in the automotive industry, the emissions control industry, how to freaking, it's like it's good enough to last the average life. There's a lot of things they could do. Actually, a car could be a one-time expenditure and you never have to buy another one again. I'm telling you that right now. It could be. It's something you like, too, I mean, you look at these classics, when they've been around. Some of these things are nice. They've been 50 years old. They could still be nice. But, some people want to have to go buy a new one and make payments. I don't know. Well, do whatever you want. And I'm telling you, this is one thing that's actually could save the blue-collar worker. And, it's, you got to roll up your sleeves and do it. You got to roll up your sleeves and do it. But peak oil, I think, peak oil is not going to be something where it's going to, I guess that's a misnomer. Let me put it this way. The end of cheap oil is here. We're done with cheap oil. It's expensive oil. Oil's not going to run out. It's just going to be a hell of a lot more money, and a hell of a lot more money forever. Even though it's going to say maybe super spike and come down, when it super spikes and say it comes back down, it ain't coming down to these levels. Just like, if somebody would have told you so many years ago, back in, I don't know, 70s or 1970 when gas was, 40 cents a gallon for the super premium, that gas was going to be cheap at $3.30 for a shitty 87 octane, so many years from now, they would have never believed it. So I'm going to tell you right now, I mean, maybe 30, 40 years from now, gas is going to be $20 a gallon, no problem. So, figure it out. Figure it out. It's like I said, there's a way around it, but you got to roll up your sleeves. It's all there is to it. And don't buy into Hey, we got the solution. Here's a commercial. Hey, we got an electric car. Screw that, man. Go support your local auto body shop, your local mechanic, and your local parts store that gives you parts made in the USA or Australia or something, or UK or Canada.